if the intent is completely sincere, authentic, I guess, whatever that means, well, you're going to create something great. You know, I really think that's what it is. Is it going to measure or whatever is trendy or whatever is, you know, contemporary or not? That's a completely different story, you know. But I mean, as an individual, if you have this authenticity, you can create something absolutely beautiful, because that's what I think we're naturally bound to be, you know, bound to do. I mean, look at all the, what we call, you know, more primitive societies. They all have incredible art, and they know education, it's all instinctual, and yet, you know, it's something that is part of our, you know, I guess it's part of our evolutionary path. You know, we got to express ourselves in order to keep evolving, you know. So it's kind of a cool thing. But I think I always had a vision that never really took in consideration level of complexity. It was just what I wanted to do. In hindsight, yes, a lot of the work looks very detailed, very complex, you know, things like that. But in the same time, it's just because I never really questioned my vision. I think this is what I wanted to do, and just did it. Well, I started painting when I was like super young. I mean, I always had this fascination with painting. And my dad was a cabinet maker. We would just, you know, do wood carving in the workshop with my brother, just without even thinking about it, you know, putting things together and you know, carving away things. And eventually I did stone carving. We were surrounded by art basically all the time. It was like a natural thing from the very beginning, I would say. You know, it just made sense. I never considered doing anything else. I think in the last 5 years, I started to use systematically stainless steel. So it's a 316L grade stainless steel. It's a marine quality, surgical quality of stainless steel. And people can interact with it. You know, you can actually touch the sculpture and not affect them at all. You can create really interesting, you know, reflection of the environment within the sculpture. Well, it's a sense of flow. I call it the flow theory because, you know, you have this idea of the creative flow, you know, the flow of the river or the flow of elements, you know. Here, with this process, you can see things happening in front of you, and you become the observer of your own creation, you know, which is it's a great feeling. What I did with this piece is called Never Ending, and it's based on the concept of the Moebius ribbon, where you have an infinite surface. So in this case, it would be outside become is outside, all in the same time. You know, they are like in opposition, yet they create a loop. A lot of kids have very active imaginations. I think we're all like originally creative. The difference is that I never stopped. This is the idea of intent, you know, what do we do things? And I think my intent was just a natural thing. It just came to me, and it was, you know, some people call it talent or a gift or whatever it is. But the reality of it, I had something that I felt was the right thing to do for me in my life, and that I really have to say, you know. And a lot of the things I do are based on sensation, are based on motion. I love to play with colors. I think they evoke a lot of things. You know, the choice, the creative choice, that's really huge. I mean, it's like, I feel that with these ribbons, I can really tackle a representational shape as well as an abstract feeling, you know, like a sensation, like the wind, for instance. I really emphasized on creating a sensation, you know, of motion, like the wind blowing on somebody's face where you feel it, you know. This opposition, you have this really kind of hardcore metal, and yet you can create a whole range and subtleties of emotional state and sensations and all of these things. And the ribbon can, you know, basically follows a creative mood of the moment, you know, like an instrument that can express several range. And that's been my quest, you know, how do I keep expanding creativity and learning new ways to express things, you know. So I feel there's a long path I can explore. We're doing a recast about this piece, and it's basically a refraction line, you know, and it's all about the idea of souls, the flow, you know, where you have all the ribbons, you know, forming the face, and that's an exact mirroring in the back. As you turn it, you know, this is kind of a representation of the tree of life, but, you know, except that it's the same branching system. And here's represent the roots that you know basically under the water and represent the growth of the tree. And here you have like a typical like super polish, you know, finish that is not a mirror finish but very highly reflective. But what I like is like the idea of the grain here, where you kind of polish the edges a little bit, so it kind of creates a kind of relieved edges, and it's slightly reflective. Like right now with a beautiful sunny day like that, you got the entire surrounding without really seeing it, that is reflected by the sculpture. So I really like that. I feel that I can simplify and streamline the process even more by creating more abstraction. So the human face or the human torso, I guess, like I've been using, just become an excuse to create some line, you know, lines. It's like this piece, for instance, I'm trying to have a much more simplified background where it's just really about the brush strokes. You know, it's almost like down back to basic, but there's much more significance in it because this is where my vision of what I want to create is. So I start to see it differently, you know. This series, for instance, is, I want to call it scent. You know, like it's a celebration of the feminine beauty, or where I'm using, for instance, iconic female figures, and yet I place them in my own context. And again, you know, it's like I place them in my world, but what it is, I don't know. It's my own individual expression. And I'm trying to express a sense of scent, a scent of women, you know, this, what makes them beautiful. This is like a perfect medium because I can use these really bright colors, and I can use, like in the line of the flow theory, you know, all of these kind of flowing lines and, you know, random shapes. That seems to be random, you know, but I guess when I pen them, they just make sense. So there is a part of it. What is it that I'm doing? I don't really know. I mean, it's almost like an instinctual thing. The problem I think that's confusing in our society, maybe for artists, is that you got this ambivalence of, you know, the media, what is seen or not seen, and trying to work in some, you know, directions versus working on what is, you know, real to you, you know. So, and a lot of things falls into the crack, you know, that's unavoidable. And I think a lot of talent go to waste because of that. You know, there's a lack of like valuing the, you know, the original intent of what we really want to do. But who knows, you know? I don't really know, so. you know, people talk about technique and, you know, all of that, sure. But, you know, in the same time, techniques, it's a little bit like grammar. You know, you need grammar to be able to write so that it's recognizable to other people. So somehow it has to fit in a format where, you know, it's recognizable. But that is also put in question all the time. What does it mean, you know, to be recognizable? As long as you got something to say, you know, then that's it. I think that's the real intent of creativity, is to express this voice, you know, to express this vision, to express these sensations. That's a real achievement right there. Yeah, no, I don't think I will ever retire. Yeah, I don't think there's such a thing for artists, you know. I think once you're in it, that's it. You know, there's no coming back.